All right, guys, so we're going to number this number 7. Number 7. Mayell's number 6, I have. Those were the study guides from Friday. I'll get those back to you this week. The test that we took on Friday, that there are a lot of pieces on that to grade. So it's taking me a little bit longer to grade y'all's test than it normally does. All right, but I am working on that. I'm about halfway through with them, and I'll get those back to you by the end of the week, okay? But our focus this week, we have a quiz this Friday. We're going to move into our geometry section. So our quiz on Friday, I really want to make sure that we have everything in one location on what we need to be prepared for. So our quiz on Friday, all right, quiz on Friday is going to be on the area formulas. All right, our quiz on Friday is going to be on our area formulas. All right, and there are 4 formulas, guys, that you're going to have to know. So today we're going to focus on 2 formulas. Tomorrow we'll add in another one. The reason that I'm wanting us to list all of these together is because today's Monday. By Friday, you need to have them memorized, okay? So if that means you want to make some flashcards tonight, that's awesome. Just make sure that you're working on these because you don't want Thursday night to be trying to memorize them all at one time, okay? All right, now there's only 4 of them, so if you worked and you made sure you memorized 1 a day, there you go, you'd be good. By Friday, you'd have them all. All right? The first shape that we're going to focus on is a rectangle. The first shape we're going to focus on is a rectangle. All right? We talked about rectangles in here before. Does anyone remember the area formula for a rectangle? What is my area formula for a rectangle? Does anyone remember? Faith?
Base times height.
A equals base times height. All right? The other way that sometimes we write it is A equals. What was that, Cameron? You're right. Length times width. A equals base times height or A equals length times width. Either one of those will work. The important thing is, when you look at a rectangle, all of the edges, all of these angles, what type of angle is that on all of these? It's 90 degrees. It's a right angle. Excellent. So all of these meet at a right angle, all right, which makes rectangles really easy to work with. We like them. Right. The next shape that we're going to mention is a parallelogram. Now this is probably going to be familiar from last year at the intermediate school. Parallelogram. Right. Now a parallelogram, let's kind of draw it out first so we kind of have an idea of what we're talking about. The parallelogram has all of its sides are parallel to the one across from it. So if I have 2 sides like this, do y'all see how those are going in the same direction? Right? And because those are in the same direction, those 2 lines are parallel. And then if I do the top and the bottom going in the same direction, so there we go. There we go. So now my top and bottom are also parallel. Hence it's called a parallelogram because all the sides have a matching parallel line. Okay? The formula for a parallelogram is really nice. Y'all see how it kind of looks similar to a rectangle? It's just slanted. My formula is base times height. It's still BH. Now, guys, here's the important thing about this base and height. And I'm going to put a little star here. All right? B and H. Base and height. Your base and height must make a right angle. Must make a right angle. So that's like where we're seeing where they're meeting going perpendicular. So they've got to make a right angle for my base and my height, all right? That's really important. So the problem is, like when I'm looking at this parallelogram, like let's say I just look at this bottom line, right? Does this line to the side meet it at a right angle? No, guys. I need a line that tells me how tall it is from the top to the bottom. All right? I need to know from the top to the bottom. This slanted line isn't going to do it. So, guys, this right here would be my height because that's where we see the right angle forming with this solid line down here. Now, guys, are those two actually touching? No. But do we still see how it's going from the top to the bottom for the height? And that's going to be my base. All right? Guys, y'all, that little square part, that's kind of like a dead giveaway. Oh, there's my base and height, wherever you see that square symbol. Okay? All right, so those are our first two formulas. What do you notice about those two formulas?
They both have the same beat.
Yeah, they have the same, you can use the same formula for both of them. So really, I know we're saying there are 4 formulas, but these are really the same. So it's kind of like there's only going to be 3. All right? The next shape we're going to look at is a triangle. All right, so we also need the formula for a triangle. Guys, we've talked about this formula a couple of times this year too. Does anyone remember the formula for the area of a triangle? Right? There's a number of times where I've drawn a rectangle up on the board. What happens when I split a rectangle in half? It forms those triangles, right? I split the rectangle. If I split this rectangle right here, if I split it in half, all right, that's going to form a triangle here and a triangle on the top. All right, so my formula for the area of a triangle is base times height, which looks very similar. The only difference is then we're going to divide by 2. Please remember that fraction bar means divide by 2. Okay? So that's my other formula for my area. Again, how do my base and my height have to meet?
Right angle.
At a right angle. They have to make a right angle. All right, so I'm going to draw a triangle here. It's going to look a little funky. All right, so there's, like, that's a really, really funky triangle. How do I know that's a triangle? It has 3 sides. It has 3 sides. Okay, so on this triangle, if I had a line going through it right there, this line would be my height, and this line would be the base, because that's where I see that right angle little square. Do y'all see that? And again, we're going to practice with these separately. I just want us to have all the formulas in one place. All right, the last formula that we're going to mention, and we're actually going to play around with this formula on Tuesday, is a trapezoid. Trapezoid. Okay. So this is kind of the big one. This, in my opinion, this one's one of the hardest formulas. Okay. All right, for my trapezoid, area equals. All right, this is going to look weird. Trapezoids have 2 bases. Trapezoids are going to have 2 bases. So we're going to call one of them base 1, and it gets a little 1. Guys, all that 1 means is that, hey, this is the first base. And we're going to add to that the second base. Base 1 plus base 2. Guys, those are little bitty numbers. Those are called subscripts. Please don't put a big 1 and a big 2 next to it. Okay, it's called a subscript. It's a little 1 and a little 2. And then what we're going to do, guys, is we're going to divide that by 2. What is it when you add 2 things together and then divide by 2? What is that called? Finding the... Brandon? The mean. This is like finding the average. So we're going to find the mean of the 2 bases. And then we're going to multiply it times the height. So you'll see that's always base times height, base times height. The only difference is, since this has 2 bases, we've got to find the average, and then we're going to multiply it by the height. Okay? Now, the reason a trapezoid has 2 bases is because a trapezoid is only going to have 2 lines that are parallel. the two lines that are parallel are going to be my bases. So for example, if I have a line that goes up and down right here, and I have a line that goes up and down right here. Guys, are those lines the same length? No, but are they parallel? Yes, because they're both going up and down. And then I have, like, let's say this, and then there. Okay, this is a trapezoid because these two lines on the side are parallel. Okay, and the way we would label these, so this would be base 1 and this would be base 2. All right, can this be my height? Can this be my height? How do my bases and my heights have to meet? At a right angle. So I would need somewhere in here, I need it somewhere telling me how far apart these are. So I need a line going like that. Now I see the right angle. And then this would have to tell me my height. Okay? But y'all see how we're going to find the average of the bases. And then we're going to multiply it by the height still. Those are our 4 formulas that we need for Friday. Alright? On Friday, you're going to have one piece of the quiz where you just have to write the formula down. Alright? You just have to tell me what the formula is. I want to see that you've memorized it. And then you're going to have another part of the quiz where you have to work them out using the formula. Okay? So it's going to be 2 pieces, 2 parts. Alright? So guys, what I'm about to do is I'm going to pass out our other notes paper. So I'm going to pause this. Tomorrow. Alright, so guys, we just received our notes paper for today. This is going to be number 8. Alright, so the first paper we were just putting all of our formulas in one place so we can make sure we're memorizing them for the quiz. That's when? Friday. Guys, I know we got a lot going on this week. The choir trip is Tuesday. We got Space and Rocket Center on Wednesday, which is why I wanted to give you all those formulas so that you can be practicing them for Friday. Alright, and then we're going to write our formulas again in our notes because every time we write it, guys, that's just one more step where we're trying to memorize it, okay? So what is our formula for the area of a parallelogram? Faith?
Base times height.
A equals base times height. A equals base times height. Now, guys, it's very important whenever we're talking about area, we're talking about the entire inside of this flat surface. The entire inside of this flat surface, which is a flat surface is a 2-dimensional object. Do y'all agree with that? Like you have like 1D that's just like a stick figure. Alright, 2D is where we're talking about the flat surface. 3D is where you have like a 3-dimensional object that it looks like you can hold it in your hand. Alright, because these are the flat surface, the entire inside, we want to make sure we use square units. We want to use square units, and we're going to talk about that when we write our answer to this first problem. Alright? When we just write down that formula for base and height, what did we say was really important about my base and my height? What do they have to make? What do they have to make together, the base and the height? Brendan? A right angle. So if I look right here, I've got 3 different numbers. Only 2 of those numbers are going to make a right angle. Which 2 numbers make my right angle on that example? Lyric? 3 centimeters and 10 centimeters. Y'all see how those are the 2 lines that are connected to the right angle? Okay? So those are what we're going to use for our base and our height. So I'm going to do area equals base times height. Every time I do a problem, I like to write the formula because the more I write it, the more I memorize it. Equals, what is my base on this problem? What's the base? Okay. 10 centimeters times 3 centimeters. And I'm just going to put that 10 and 3 next to each other because if they're right beside each other, I know it's multiplication. Can you still use your times symbol? If you really, really want to, you may. I'd like us to get away from that. All right, so now we have 10 times 3. What does 10 times 3 give me? 30. All right, now we've got to make sure we put our measurement next to that. So we're not just talking about centimeters anymore. Centimeters was talking about this line. That's the stick figure. That's just one dimension. 30 centimeters is the entire inside, which again is how many dimensions? 2. That's like two-dimensional. It's a flat surface. So we're going to put a squared with that. So it's 30 centimeters squared, right? Because it's that flat surface. Okay? Questions on how we work that problem? Okay. So let's look at A. Again, I know this is a parallelogram because my sides are parallel and my top and bottom are parallel. All right. Which two numbers here are going to form my right angle? Which two numbers form the right angle, Kate? 14 and 9. So that's going to be my base and my height. So again, I'm going to write my formula for a parallelogram. Area equals base times height. All right. So which one of those is my base? Emily? 9 times my height, which is 14. So now we have 9 times 14. 9 times 14. Pretty easy to work out. What do we get when we do 9 times 14? Let's see. 9 times 4 is 36. Carry my 3. 9 times 1 is 9. Plus 3 is 12. 126. Right, what measurement has to go next to that? Inches squared. Make sure we have our IN and squared because we're talking about the entire inside of this shape now. All right, so that's 126 inches squared. All right, now B is a little bit more tricky. Raise your hand if you can give me my two numbers that make a right angle on B. Okay. 8 1/2 and 1 1/4. Okay, 8 1/2 and 1 1/4. Those are going to form my right angle. All right. Excellent job. So the 8 1/2 would also match down here. So if you highlighted this line instead, it would be the same thing. 8 1/2 and 1 1/4. So if you want to, guys, that 2 is extra. We can mark it out. Over here, we didn't use the 16. We could have marked it out, just so that we don't try to use those extra numbers. All right, what's the formula for the area of a parallelogram? A equals BH. All right, hopefully we'll all have that one down before we leave today. Okay. What is the base of this parallelogram? What's the base of this parallelogram? Emily? 8 1/2. Times, what am I multiplying it by? 8 1/2 times? Blake? 1 1/4. All right, Ava, I'm going to borrow your calculator real quick. All right, just to make sure that we all remember, these calculators are excellent tools. We love them because they make fractions so easy. So we're going to type in our 8, that fraction button up here with the ABC, 1, and then 1/2. So right now that's separating 8 and then 1/2 times 1, fraction button 1, fraction button 4. So there's where we see our 1 1/4, just making sure I typed it in correctly. When I hit enter, it gives me that kind of funny looking answer. How would I write down that answer? What does that actually mean, Cameron? 10 5/8. That U is just separating them. And what has to go next to my 10 5/8? Emily? M squared. We got to put that 2 with it. M squared. Okay. Questions about A or B? Parallelograms? Okay, so after parallelograms, we got to look at triangles. What was my formula for a triangle? Okay? Very good. A equals base times height divided by 2. Again, my base and my height have to make a right angle. So when I look at letter A, again, I got more information than what I need. Which two numbers are going to be my base and my height? Which two numbers are my base and my height here? Kaylee, what do you think? 28 and 21, very good. So 28 and 21. That's where I'm seeing that right angle. Did 35 have anything to do with that right angle? No, so we don't need it. That's just extra. All right? So again, I'm going to use my formula. Area equals, and I'm going to write it down every time. The more I write it, the more I memorize it. A equals base times height divided by 2. So in this case, what is my base for A? What is my base for A, Emily? 21. And then the height? 28. And then we have divided by 2. All right, guys, and again, I know we like to use those calculators. I don't want you to just plug everything in at once, though, because sometimes we make a mistake when we type stuff in. So to help us follow our work, we're going to do one step at a time. 21 times 28, what does that give us? 21 times 28, what does that give me? Faith? 588. So I'm going to write that down. Then I'm going to do divided by 2. So now 588 divided by 2, what does that give me? Cameron? 294. What has to go by that? Meters squared. Meters squared. Make sure we keep our M and our 2. Okay. Looking ahead to B. There's a lot of numbers on this one. We've got 4 numbers, but we only need 2 of them. Which one is going to be my base and my height for B? What is my base and my height for B going to be? Okay. All right. So 5.4 and 3.2. Does that make a right angle right there? No, that's too small. That's an acute angle. 7.7 and 3.2. That's where we're seeing the right angle. That's the 2 lines that we need. All right, y'all see that right angle right there that's forming? Okay, so these 2 numbers were just extra. Those 2 numbers were extra. We didn't need those. All right. What is my formula for the area of a triangle, Emily?
A equals BH divided by 2.
A equals BH divided by 2. Okay, so base times height. What is my base here? Gabriella? What is my base on this triangle? 7.7. All right, and then my height, the one that goes from the bottom to the top, is 3.2 divided by 2. So when I multiply 7.7 times 3.2, what does that give me? Faith? 24.64. And then we still got to divide that by 2. Alright, so then when I divide that by 2, what do I get? Cameron? 12.32. And what has to go next to that? Feet squared. Feet squared. Are there any questions on how we're picking our base and our height? Any questions about For C, there are 2 numbers here, but we want to make sure that those 2 numbers make a right angle. So I'm just going to follow those lines. There's 9.5, and there's 4. Do those 2 lines make a right angle? Yes, okay? So again, what's my formula for a triangle? Area equals BH divided by 2. Very good. What is the base on C, Michaela? 9.5. And what is my height? 4. And then we're going to divide by 2. Alright, so again, guys, this is where that scientific calculator comes in handy. For our Avas, just make sure we're typing that in correctly. So we have 9.5, so 9 fraction button and a half. So there's where I've used that fraction button. Times 4. So when I multiply that, I get 38. So now I have 38 divided by 2. And what do I get when I do 38 divided by 2? Faith?
19
19 what?
centimeters
Centimeters squared.
squared.
Alright, so every answer, do you see how every single answer has the measurement and it's always squared, always with that little 2. Alright, do we have questions about A, B, or C? Okay. So I want us to flip it over real quick. I want us to flip our notes over. Flip your notes over. Alright. What do you notice is different about number 1 and number 2? What's different about those two? 19 centimeters squared. Babe?
They have like a grid around it.
They have a grid. Do they give me any numbers here? No. So what we're going to do is kind of like what we were just doing. I'm still going to pick my lines that form a right angle. So if I look at this parallelogram, I need my base to be a straight line that's on here. Alright? And what I mean by a straight line, because all of them are straight, do y'all see how this is slanted? It's going through the middle of squares. Right, I don't want to use that line. Because if it's going through squares at a slant, is that going to be where I get my right angle?
No.
No. So I don't want to use this side one, which would be a good line to use. Emily? Oh, we can, for the base. For the base, we can use that bottom line. Now guys, we got to be careful because when we look at number 2 in a minute, we're going to see base doesn't necessarily mean bottom, okay? So now I picked that line. Where would be a good line that's going to still form a right angle with that? Kate?
Third square, second square line.
Yeah, so we can go right there next to the crease. Or guys, I can go right there through the center of it. Isn't that forming a right angle there? Y'all see my right angle? Alright, now guys, what we're doing is we're counting how many spaces are on that line. I am not counting the squares. I am not counting the squares. I'm looking at this line. Do y'all agree that's where the line starts? Okay, and I'm going to count over 1 space, 2, 3, 4. Is there anywhere else on that line to go? No, it's kind of like a board game. How many pieces did that spot go? 4. This would be a next move where we're going up the hill. We just want to know that first move where it's going across. All right, and how many spaces are going up and down? 3. Okay. All right, I'm going to help you out with number 2, then we're going to go back and talk about number 1. On number 2, what line do you think I'm going to start with on number 2? Are we starting with that bottom line? Okay. Yeah, so we don't want to use this bottom one because it's slanted, but we can use this one on the side where it's going straight up and down, right? And then a line that's going straight across from there. Where would I find one of those? Yeah, we can just go in the middle. There you go. All right, so now can I count those? Yeah, so let's count them real quick just to make sure. So going down, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Remember, I'm going to stop here. I can't go any further. So on that side, that is 6. All right, what about going through the center? 1, 2. I got 3 going through the center. Okay. Do y'all see how we're counting those? Alright, guys, let's go back to number 1. What's the formula for the area of a parallelogram? What's my formula for the area of a parallelogram? Cameron? A equals BH. Make sure we have A equals BH. A, BH would be multiplying all of it. We want A equals BH. Alright, what was the base of my parallelogram on number 1? What's the base of that parallelogram on number 1, Emily? 4, and the height is 3. So 4 times 3 gives me 12. Now here's the thing. Did this one give me feet or centimeters or inches or anything like that? No. So can anyone think back to second 9 weeks when we were graphing and we were doing distance? If it doesn't tell me the measurement What is the word that we can use to describe that? It starts with a U. Units. So since I don't have the measurement, I'm going to put units, and I'm still going to put squared with that little 2. So if it doesn't have the measurement, we can still use that word units. Okay. So you're going to do that with number 2. The rest of them have the measurements. Number 7. All right, guys, that's your challenge. I want you to see if you can highlight the ones that are right angles and count them out on your own. All right. Guys, the rest of the sheet, this is your homework. All right, I'm going to cut the lights back on so we can get to work.